Chairman Wu, good to see you again here. Let's start with HB2. Republicans in the Senate, they raced to pass school vouchers back in February, soon after the legislature gavelled into session. Why do you think the Senate isn't moving with the same speed when it comes to public school funding in House Bill 2?
Yeah, because they really don't care. From the very beginning, we knew that HB2 school finance bill was being used as a hostage to pass vouchers. And that was the deal. I mean, so many Republicans and who were opposed to vouchers voted for it in the hopes that we could save the hostage. Now that they've gotten everything they want, they're returning the hostage to us in pieces, right?
Uh,
And they're like, well, you didn't say it couldn't come back in a body bag.
The Senate passed a standalone bill for teacher pay raises. The House tied it to public school funding. How do you expect this to go? Because teachers have been waiting several sessions now for a pay raise.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we knew that this was the kind of play that Dan Patrick was going to do because as soon as we saw that he's been sitting on HB2, not moving it long after we passed vouchers, we knew that there was something up. And basically, he's trying to force the legislature, him, to take a bad deal. This is a deal that benefits them, and doesn't help the schools the way the schools have asked to be helped, the way the teachers have asked to be helped. And it's a political move to make him look good. But in reality, this screws over like the entire school system.
What should educators be watching for right now in the final couple of weeks of the legislature?
No, I mean, I think really, look, the House spent months and months hashing out the details of what schools actually need and what is the
Right.
most beneficial to them given the limited budget. And we came up with something that benefits both rural schools and urban schools and takes care of what they need. These are just what the Senate has done instead is these are just the Senate priorities. And many of these priorities are not good ideas. And we have like the increasing the basic allotment was one of the key factors in pushing it through that like we need that's what the schools have said they needed again and again. Pushing that money directly to tie it directly to teacher pay, it doesn't help anyone. It helps the teachers a little bit, but in the end, this is going to be a bad deal for our schools, and they're trying to ram it down our throats.
Do you expect teacher pay raises are going to pass this legislature?
I think so. But again, we have to remember that teacher pay raises are not the only factor in
Right.
school system collapsing.
Well, that's the other thing I want to ask you about. Do you think the basic allotment, the amount of money that schools get per student, is that going to increase at all this legislature?
Well, that's the problem is that basically the Senate bill has stripped it all out, right? And this is one of the big things. Like the state before this bill was already 46th, 47th in the nation for the worst funded school system in America. And the basic allotment is a big part of that. Like what is the base amount of money that schools get for each kid? And it's not good. And compared to the rest of the nation, it's even worse after COVID, after inflation. It's terrible, and we're just dropping like a rock. And the panic on the by the I mean, there seems to be no concern by Dan Patrick or Governor Abbott. I wish Governor Abbott would have spent like a quarter of the energy he spent passing vouchers on saving the public school system. I wish that he would inject himself into this debate right now and say, like, this is not cool. The deal was, you get HB2 in exchange for vouchers, and this deal stinks to high heaven.
Public schools say they need about $1,300 per student increase from the legislature. And as you know, when we've talked about this before, they haven't had an increase in the basic allotment in this money since 2019, 6 years now. The House was rallying about its bill, HB2, saying it's great, but it only increased it by $395.
Yep.
The Senate says it wants to make direct investments like teacher pay raises. Wouldn't that though free the basic allotment, some of that money up for districts to use it however they wanted to use it? Why isn't that a good idea though?
Because there are a lot more people than just teachers who take care of a school. Like a school doesn't run on teachers alone. You have administrators, you have custodians, you have bus drivers, you have lunch people who serve food, all these things. This is not a singular problem. It's just most evident in the teachers. But this is a system-wide problem. After 2019, COVID and inflation took a $16 billion divot out of school finance, out of the budgets for schools. Because of that drop, because of inflation, right? That's why we passed HB2. HB2 only put in 8 billion. 8 out of the 16. We took a $16 billion hole, put 8 into it, and the 8 was distributed in a way that made sure that we attacked every issue evenly, right? This does away with that. This does away with the balanced, sensible approach and just shoves it in the most glorious, most attention-seeking place they can. This is not going to be good. There's a reason we spent so much time working out the details of HB2 and to get it just right, just the way it is. And this is it's monstrous.
If public schools in Texas do not get an increase in the basic allotment, the money per pupil, what's going to happen to public education? It'll be another 2 years, 8 years total since they've had any increase, and we've seen inflation rise quite a bit since then.
The warning from the school districts has been loud and clear. They will close schools. Schools in my area, even with the anticipation that we pass HB2, are already closing multiple school buildings. If they close more, you may be looking at dramatically increased classroom sizes. Our classroom sizes are already high. And if they close more and more schools, those kids have to go somewhere. And they're going to stack them in the schools that aren't closed. And after a while, this is going to be really, really unacceptable. The kids are not going to be educated. They're not going to receive the education that they deserve. And people are acting like this is perfectly fine.
What's the likelihood you think that schools will get any money this session?
I think they're going to get some money, I hope. But really, I think people need to tell the politicians, tell Dan Patrick, tell Greg Abbott, stop playing games with this. This is not a political toy. Like this, there are real serious existential consequences for the state if we do not save the public school system.
And I don't want to overstate or misstate here, but are we talking about, is that a hyperbole to say it's an existential issue for public schools?
The school system has said again and again that they're at the razor's edge. We're looking, again, school districts around the state are already planning closures with the anticipation that we pass HB2, right? If we don't pass it, or you pass something that doesn't help them enough, they're going to close more and more. And after a while, there might be a critical mass where it's just intolerable, and teachers say, like, you know what, I'm not teaching 40, 50 kids. And just say, I don't care how much you pay me, I'm not going to do this, right? And at some point, parents will say, like, this is unacceptable. We cannot tolerate this. I don't know what's going to happen. If more schools close, what do parents do who have no choice? Do they stay home with their kids if there's nowhere for them to go? Do they try to shove them into other school districts that are already overcrowded? What's going to happen?
May 28th is the deadline for the Senate to pass its key bills. Is this going to go down to the wire?
I think it never had to go down to the wire. This is going down to the wire because of Dan Patrick and Greg Abbott put vouchers as their priority. And they use our public school system as the hostage. And now they're not keeping their word about releasing the hostage unharmed. And Texans should be furious.
Let's shift off to bail reform just for a moment here. Republicans want to prevent violent criminals from getting out of jail on bail. I know a lot of Democrats do too, but Democrats also worry that civil liberties could be in jeopardy, especially after Governor Abbott was talking about automatically denying bail for many folks too. You said you expect a reasonable agreement to be reached on this issue that has not passed in the past few sessions. What would that reasonable agreement look like, do you think?
So, I think your setup for your question is sort of buying into some of the Republican propaganda. Democrats have never opposed putting violent people in jail. But we were saying, like, you should not do it indiscriminately. You should not do it without due process. You should not do it without the approval of a court. And time again, Democrats and Republicans here in the House come up with an agreement. Say, hey, we can agree to all these things. But it has always been Governor Abbott and the Senate who insist on putting things into the bill that just are openly and violently unconstitutional. And just like we were like, why would you put this in there? We all agree on the sensible things that we
Yeah.
could do. Why would you purposely inject this one thing into this debate that everyone agrees is unconstitutional, but we're going to do it anyways? It's because Governor Abbott doesn't really want us to fix the bail system. They don't want to fix the courts. They want to run on the problem, not fix the issue, right?
You still think an agreement could be reached, though?
I think so. I mean, look, Governor Abbott was over here in the House just days ago while we were on the floor yelling at members saying that that he wants them to pass the things that he wants, the
Yeah.
unconstitutional things, that even the stuff that even the Republicans in the room said, like, we can't stomach that, right? And that's a blatantly and violently unconstitutional. And here's once again, what you're going to see on the House floor is Democrats and Republicans agreeing that, hey, we should work on these issues, we should fix the system, and we should ignore Governor Abbott and his insinuation of including insane stuff into it, and just do what people expect us to do the sensible thing, do the smart things that people have been asking for all along.
Any idea when this is going to get a vote in the House floor?
Theoretically, possibly tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. I want to ask about Senate Bill 17. You and I have discussed this before. It's in conference committee. This is the bill that would ban citizens from China, Russia, Iran, North Korea from owning land in Texas. The House and Senate are trying to work out the differences on this bill. It will need one more vote in the House to get it finally approved and sent to the governor. Is there any chance that Democrats might be able to kill this?
No, I'm sorry. Number one, this is a bill to restrict immigrants from those countries. And it's because you're a citizen until the day you become a United States citizen. And look, it's already been voted out of the House. It was voted out, I think, Wednesday.
Sure.
Reading, we put up a big fight on it. We objected to it. I tried to send several points of orders on it, and and we told the members, look, this is a bill that says that entire community, that says without accusation, without evidence, that an entire community should be treated as having one similar characteristic, right? We call that racism. Like it's just openly called racism. When you say like one entire group of people, we're just going to say they all have the same kind of characteristic. They're all the threat. They're all this. They're all that. That's bigotry. That's racism, point blank. And we tried to tell members that, and they're like, well, we don't care. Right. And this is like, we go on. I go on to say, like, look, this is how we got on the road to the Japanese internment. This is how we got there, for the same reasons, passing the same laws for the same reasons, using the same rhetoric against the same people. And they're like, whatever. And they say, well, don't worry, we won't do that again. We know better now. We're better people. But I'm saying, like, you know that this is racist. You know that this is bigoted, but you're doing it anyways. How can I trust you to say we're not going to relive the Japanese internment when you say we're passing the exact same bills that you're saying we're passing the same bills against the same people for the same reason, and it's okay, it's fine.
We watch the debate, watch your amendments fail as well. But let me ask you this: on Senate Bill 17, you and your fellow Democrats tried to make exemptions for legal residents and for visa holders from those countries, from China, from North Korea, from Iran, and Russia. Why do you think those exemptions were not palatable for your colleagues? Because these people are here in the country legally; they're visa holders, they're legal residents. Why wasn't it palatable?
And that is the final irony, that we have spent so much time in this body over the past decade screaming about illegal immigration and this and that. And these are all legal immigrants. These are people who sometimes were even invited, who were asked, who were begged to be here so they could teach, so they can conduct research, so they can do all sorts of things. We have EB-5s. We're asking people from other countries to come here, invest in America, build jobs, and they're doing it. And our thanks to them is saying, well, we don't trust you, even though we invited here, we checked you out before you came, right? But the United States may trust you, but the state of Texas does not trust you. That sends a very damning message. There is immense Chinese investments in Texas, and we have a huge population here. Some of them are American citizens, some of them are just immigrants and expats. But the point is that the Asian community here, the Chinese American community, has done nothing but give to this country, work their asses off, and just make this place a better state. If you go look in any lab around UT or any university
Sure.
or any research campus, you have Chinese immigrants. And we're trusted to do all those different jobs, those sensitive jobs, but we're not being trusted to own a house. That's what this law is, right? Saying that if you buy a house, that's a threat to the state. That is offensive beyond reason.
That's a good summary there too. Let me ask this one last question before we let you go here, Mr. Chairman. I want to ask you about the Texas lottery. Do you agree with the decision right now to throw the lottery a lifeline, to eliminate the lottery commission, to ban online sales, to restrict the number of tickets that you can buy? Well, why do you think lawmakers are trying to save it now?
I honestly, I don't have a really strong opinion on the lottery, and I think they set up the rules in a certain way,
Yeah,
and people like human beings do, they figure out a way to game the rules. That's not really the fault of the people gaming the rules. That's the fault of the people who wrote the rules and didn't
sure.
write them very well, right? With and the irony of us talking about laws that are not written very well. Like last night, we passed HB 113, which basically says like the courts cannot look to other places to interpret what laws we're trying to pass, what the laws we pass mean. And we're like, just like the lottery, like we're human beings. We pass laws that are imperfect because we're imperfect. But we're like at the same time trying to tell the courts, you can't interpret, you can't try to figure out other ways to figure out what we meant by by the words we wrote down. So this place is just filled with hypocrisy, time and time again. Just like the SB 17 fight, when people were screaming and yelling about illegal immigrants. I mean, during the debate. But yeah, when we told them that these are not only legal immigrants, but most of them have been vetted. The ones who are coming here for work, for other purposes are all vetted.
Right.
But still, right?
Still, here we are, and yeah, and we've seen this movie a number of times for session after session after session down there. Mr. Chairman, it's always good to see you. We appreciate your insight, sir.
Thank you. Good to see you.